Hello, Guardians. Today is February 3rd, 2023. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. Gonna be a little off the cuff today. I didn't have time to write a script. But thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Today we have an interview with DoctorDRM, so stick around for that. But for now, let's get into the news. Tuesday saw hotfix 6.3.0.7 go live, bringing with it daily deep sight patterns from your seasonal vendors on the helm. So go get all that currency, go earn those weapons. I think I'm one Ikelos shotgun away from having the pattern for all of this season's weapons. I'm pretty happy about that. Deepstone Crypt, that's another thing, but the seasonal weapons, proud of it. Iron Banner changes brought increased Iron Banner rank gains, doubled multipliers for wearing Iron Banner gear, halved the multipliers for completing challenges, and significantly increased the multiplier for wearing an Iron Banner emblem. Crucible added a quitter protection for competitive division, along with fixes for an issue where full auto setting would occasionally stop firing while the trigger is held, and they fixed an issue where a dialogue prompt during the initial Enigma crafting quest would fail to advance. Tuesday also brought with it a trailer for some of the exotics that we will be getting in Lightfall, starting on February 28th. We got close looks at the Final Warning, which is a kinetic strand sidearm. The description being hold down the trigger of the kinetic slot sidearm to mark targets within range and load a burst of bullets when hip firing projectiles track aggressively towards marked targets. Kind of like the Tikus of sidearms a little bit, maybe? Like a mixture of Eyes of Tomorrow and Tikus. Deterministic Chaos, which is a void machine gun that on every fourth bullet weakens targets, and on the 16th bullet, it makes them volatile. It looks like an awesome tool for clearing ads. Winter Bite, which is an exotic stasis glaive, not in the kinetic slot. It is in the heavy slot. You'll hear DRM and I talking about that later on in this conversation. But it fires a large ball of energy that locks onto nearby targets and freezes them. We got Surturechne's Facade. After grappling, this exotic helmet gives extra protection as hunters gain body armor. Only the body, head is still vulnerable, and flinch resistance. We got the Abeyant Leap for the Titans. When you throw up a barricade, it gives extra armor to its wielder and spawns 2 additional seeking projectiles that track targets aggressively and suspend them in the air. We also saw the Swarmers, exotic leg armor for warlocks that create threadlings, which is the cutest word that I've heard in quite some time, to infest and attack enemies after destroying a single target. These were all wonderful things. We also saw a catalyst for Quicksilver Storm. All of them look really, really fun. And I kind of got some Cowboy Bebop vibes from the trailer, but maybe that's just me. Bungie knows how to do a trailer and knows how to hype people up. Like a lot of the exotic weapons over the past year, I'm not exactly sure where they fit within what I'll be using for my kit, but they do have uses in the game, especially like Deterministic Chaos just looks fun. On Wednesday, we received the Season 20 Weapon Tuning Preview, written by Chris Proctor, the senior design lead. With it, he outlined changes that we will be seeing in Lightfall's sandbox. I'm going to do some quick hits here. Linear fusion rifles are getting reduced damage versus champions, mini-bosses, bosses, and vehicles by 15%. Sleeper Simulant and Queensbreaker are unaffected. Machine guns will have increased damage by around 10%. And increased reserve ammo by 50% at 0 inventory stat and 20% at 100 inventory stat. They do make a special note that inventory stat is a 0 to 100 value behind the scenes. This isn't really presented in the game. However, they do mention you can take this to mean that low reserve machine guns get a big boost while large reserve machine guns get a smaller boost. Heavy grenade launchers get increased damage versus champions, mini-bosses, bosses, and vehicles by 20%, miners by 40%. Improved projectile collision, making it slightly easier to land hits. Increased blast radius by 1 meter. Parasite will be unaffected by this, but guess what is affected by this? Anarchy, baby. Anarchy's about to make a comeback. Kinetic weapons will see some more boosts across the board. Kinetic primary weapon damage multiplier increase from 1.05 to 1.1. Kinetic special weapon damage multiplier increase from 1.05 to 1.15. Kinetic slot stasis weapons no longer have the 5% damage bonus versus unshielded targets in PvE. There will also be a kinetic damage perk coming in Lightfall. More exotics will also be getting in touch with Lightfall. The Queenbreaker's bow will get an Arc 3.0 blind effect, and it now chains to nearby enemies. Ruinous Effigy's Transmutation Sphere Slam attack now will suppress. Leviathan's Breath gets huge buffs here. Listen to this, Sammy Cat. Now applies volatile on perfect draw impact, increased damage from 396 to 442. This allows it to once again one-hit kill all supers in PvP. Holy jeez. 1,000 Voices, Sunshot, and Polaris Lance will all get Scorch stacks applied to their weapon damage. And Grand Overture, for all you Atrax fans out there, uses the new Arc Blind effect. We'll also see some changes to perks, like Osmosis now working with Strand, and Rewind rounds being more available on different weapons outside of the Vault of Glass. For the full article on Season 20 weapon tuning, be sure to check out the links in the show notes. Now, over the past few weeks, we've been getting these huge meaty blog posts on Wednesday, and the Thursday TWABs haven't been as meaty. But that's not to say that they're not just as important. This week, we got some updates on how blues are going to work. With this week's patch of 6.3.0.7, we no longer receive blues at the soft cap. However, we are getting more purple engrams to drop in their stead. That will change when Lightfall crosses over. We'll get a glimmer dump instead of blue engrams in Lightfall. But right now, it's dropping purple, which is a perfect time for you to farm legendary shards. So go out there, pick those up, turn them in, get legendary shards. Destiny 2 will be brought offline for 24 hours on February 27th, 2023. That is to prep for Lightfall the day afterward. We'll wrap up this section about the TWAB by saying that there is a reminder that this Iron Banner ending on the 7th of February is the last Iron Banner for Season 19 and Season 20. There will be 3 Iron Banner weeks and possibly a new mode. Man, am I hoping that they bring Supremacy back. Now, we're going to go into our conversation with Dr. DRM.
Hi.
So hi. Hi, DRM. Hi, Dr.
Hello.
DRM. How
Hi,
are you?
Dan. I'm great.
It's not
Thanks
like we
for
haven't
having
been
me
talking
on.
for like half an hour already.
It's not like the intro you had last week with Bife. Like Bife, I love Bife. I know Bife personally. We were friends. We got math class members that are UK members, or they're from the UK, and so is Bife. And you guys are small talking before you hit record, and he's swearing up a storm. I'm like, he's my Lord Daddy. He can't be fucking swearing. Like, look, it's like, no. And then he starts cussing up a storm. I'm like, oh my God, no.
That's some of my favorite stuff. My favorite stuff is when you're talking with the guests, you've already been like, hey, I'm starting to record. Like this is and then like we get a little bit into it, and then the question of, oh, can we curse on this? It's like, yes. Like
I did my research.
Yeah,
I did, because I was going to ask, because I could be dad brain or I could be supervisor brain where you don't curse, or if they do, it's that shock value. Like you start cursing up a storm, they're like, oh my God, Mr. DRM, you swear? I'm like, fuck yeah, I swear, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it happens, man. Well,
good intro.
Welcome to the show. Glad to have you, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been in the works for like a couple of weeks, and we have like, we just had a bunch of information dropped on us. Like
our brain
today.
is melted. Yeah.
Today.
It's now, the TWAB is this Wednesday at Bungie at this point. Like I saw that on Twitter saying that like that's what TWABs are. Like that's what, 3 weeks in a row that they give these amazing articles.
I don't hate it. Because
no, I don't either.
Like
I don't either. And I love Chris Proctor. Like he's been so transparent with everything going on. Like one of the comments, I was listening to Asdacross talk about what we're going to talk about later. And there's a point where he talks about the 85 FOV and why and was wondering why that's a thing. But in a past Firing Line podcast way back in August before Witch Queen, he was on there talking about how the reticle, the aim assist, is based on 85 FOV. And then, because mostly everybody, I guess, plays in 105 or 100 because that widens you out. But because of that, the reticle is not giving you the accurate shot, so then you feel like you got ghost bullets. But if you play at 85, so once I heard that, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna play on 85 because I'm used to playing on PlayStation when I think it was 72, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm like, I'll go to 85 because it's still better. And he's right. I feel like my game has gotten better. Yeah, there's a couple things, like when you have a rocket launcher, it is in your face and you're like, oh, I wish I was third person right now. But no, I think that's great. And those are things that Chris Proctor, I don't think years ago Bungie would say that information to us. They would keep it very hush hush. But now with him on board, and he overshares to the point where I appreciate the oversharing. You know, because not that we don't deserve it, but like, we know what to do with that information. Otherwise, the data miners are going to find out anyway. And I'd rather find out from Chris than I do from the data miners, you know?
Well, and that's the big thing. I feel like over the past few months, the communication has been, they have stepped it up when it comes to communication. And
the new Twitter account was a great idea after what happened to DMG and all of them. And like, it sucks because that's their personal account that they freely did. I mean, Deej was the patriarch for that. He followed Deej, he followed Cosmo, he followed DMG, but then he got some bad people out there and it's their personal lives being at stake. So having that community manager account was like the smartest thing. And now you can tell who's talking from that too, based on if you follow Hippie and you follow them, you know who's tweeting that stuff. But it's gotten better. After we had silence for a while and we're like, oh shit, they're pissed at us. Like they're not telling us anything. And now it's like they went back to the drawing board, figured it out. And now we're getting the communication that I think, you know, and the communication we get is what we need to hear.
Solid. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're doing a good job on that front. And I'm glad that they have the teams. Like I've known Sam for ages. And so it's like if it keeps one shitter out of their DMs or out of their mentions, then I'm all for it. So
absolutely. They don't deserve it. They don't make the game. That's the funny thing I love. Is like they yell at Dylan DMG about like, why did you do this? He's like, I didn't, but I'll pass it along for you.
They've gotten better with their communication. They've set expectations for the community that have said, hey, this is where we're going to be sharing everything. So if you want more news, this is where you're going to get it. And we're going to do our best to keep it a consistent voice that you can trust. And I like that. I like that for them. I like that particularly for us, because I feel like we are getting more information. What you said about Chris Proctor is correct. Where it's like, it's one of those things where had a dev gone on a podcast and spilled as many beans as maybe Chris has in the past like couple of interviews that he's done, because he's done a lot. Like
he's done a lot. Even like, so I was invited to a for the 30th for the Dares of Eternity and the Gallarhorn launch. I was invited to that Bungie summit, and he was there, and he was like, well, let's show you this. And then it's like, I'm going to show you more. And I'm like looking around like, are we allowed to see this?
Yeah.
And it was all stuff for 3.0 stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, we're watching 3.0 stuff. And we're only supposed to be here watching Dares of Eternity. Like, and I'm like, he had that look on his face. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but fuck it, we're doing it anyway. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit, dude. But it was great, because that my respect level for him went up immensely, because he just yeeted himself out there. He's like, I don't care, because it's information you're going to see anyway. Like, and here it is, kind of stuff. So
there's a level of trust. There's a like, it feels like huge. The Bungie team is building back trust.
Yes.
With and enforcing trust with those that they've already have. So like it's really cool and refreshing to see this communicative Bungie after like the last couple of years.
Oh yeah. Especially after the last 6 months. I mean, you see the things you read about with DMG and all the other lawsuits,
training filing, like
those.
And everything. Yeah.
Like, and we're lucky as a community to get this information. Like, I don't think any other games really are that upfront and that honest and that transparent about it, especially if things are going wrong. Like PvP, not gonna lie, is not going as great. I'm not a PvP guy. There are tons of other people that can critique that better, I should say. But they're not shying away from that, and they're like, okay, some companies would just hide and not say a word, and then just like. Other companies, I'm not going to say who, but like other companies hide, and then the game disappears, or the next iteration of the game comes out, and the community's like, "We didn't ask for this."
Yeah, or you have the only communication. Like, what was it? It was Final Fantasy 14. Like, I was listening to Giant Bomb earlier, and they were talking about how the head of Final Fantasy 14 made a post saying that they're no longer doing raid races because something about the team that won used third-party tools, which in Final Fantasy 14 is frowned upon. Okay. Whereas, like, in Destiny, we're letting those all the time. So, a little bit. Like,
I mean, you saw Dim is down for King's Fall, and people are up in arms like, I can't use Dim.
Yeah. But then Dim figures out a way to say, hey, we're going to be caching everything. So, like, you can still make loadouts, and we'll do our best. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. We're so dependent on the third parties. We're so dependent. Like when one goes down, we're like, oh my, like I use Braytech all the time. Bray.tech or Braytech.org. When like the API is down and I can't go on there just to plan out what my triumphs are going to be for the day or for the week, I'm sitting there screaming like a baby, like, please come back. I just want to see for the 30th time today what path I'm taking when I get home. So
I'm using that to plan out which weapons I need to form now at the serve.
Yeah. Yes.
But let's take a pause on the game right now. Let's get into you.
Oh,
Dr. DRM, hi, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
Why don't you tell the folks at home where they can find you just in case they don't make it to the end of the episode?
Because I'll put you to sleep.
No, that's podcast, man. So yeah, like I watch the chart. I see the fall off points.
Oh boy. So I'm Dr. DRM. I'm DRM. I just couldn't think of a catchy way to say DRM when I was first joining. Like I was Dr. Man Bear Pig. People know me as that.
Yeah.
That's why all my logos are Man Bear Pig stuff. But you can find me on Twitter, Dr._DRM. The original Dr. DRM is a dentist in Ottawa, and he does still tweet. So I can't be like you or Haterade or other people that were, or I think it was Big Daddy T. So I was like, I can't get my name because whatever. They haven't used it in 7 years or whatever the case. But this guy is tweeting, so I can't go to him and say, yo, please, can I have the name? But what's funny is when other platforms are coming out, I'm the first one to get Dr. DRM. So I'm almost like, fuck you, little guy. I got it first. Like Hive and TikTok and YouTube. There, I'm Dr. DRM without the underscore. But on Twitter, it's with the underscore between Dr. and DRM. And it's DOCTOR, not DR. So
not DRDRM.
Not DRDRM. No, DRM is just my initials. People always ask in my chat, like, what does it mean? I'm like, they're just my initials. Yep. That's it. Nothing special. I'm just not that creative when it comes to names, other than Dr. Manbear Pig, because it's DRM Manbear Pig. When I do drag, I'm Charlotte Webb, which I was creative with that because it's WEBB. And I didn't see a single drag artist named Charlotte Webb, so I took that real quick. So I'm Charlotte Webb when I'm in drag, which the next time I do that is on Saturday, February 11th. I'm going to be Velma. So that should be fun, playing Dead Space. So, but yeah, that's who I am. And I stream on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's about midnight. Sunday, I do 10 a.m. starts with Andos. Dan has been asking me to do some Raid Sherpas. So I've been tagging along the last couple months with him. And if he has to work, I just keep the consistency, because you got to be consistent with your stream schedule. And I have not been consistent over the past 4 years. So finally I'm being consistent. So I do Sundays until 3:00 because that's when Red Zone gets really active, sports ball. So 3:00, it's the witching hour. And that's when I get offline so I can watch the witching hour. And that's, that's me and my socials.
Awesome. Yeah. So what got you into Destiny?
Woo. How long is this podcast? How long is my blog? So I saw a Kotaku article way long ago about this game from Bungie, the people that made Halo, that there's a beta coming out in the summer. And I'm like, oh, Halo. I used to play Halo in college back in 2002. We carry our CRT TVs down in the basement of our residence hall, and we LAN party ourselves up and do Blood Gulch and Sidewinder and Blood Gulch and Sidewinder, because they're only two big maps in Halo. So I downloaded it on my PS3, and I remember specifically we got to the Devil's Lair Strike, and we were extremely underleveled, the other two people and myself, and we must have spent an hour and a half on that motherfucking tank.
Just plinking away.
Plink, plink, plink. And then we beat it, thought we beat it, and the door opened. I'm like, there's more? Shit! And I'm like, well, fuck this game. So I stopped. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then the game came out on September 9th. And I was at a Redbox at my local Stop and Shop, and Redbox had it right there for my PS3. So I push the button, pops out, pop it in my PS3, and I'm like, it's the same fucking game from the beta. So I immediately took it back. I was like, I'm not playing this shit. So then my wife's best friend came up to visit, I want to say Christmas or New Year's, and her boyfriend comes in, and I owned an Xbox One at the time. I got one for Christmas. Yeah. And he goes, hey, man, can I log into your Xbox and play Destiny? I said, sure. What's going on? He goes, let's Iron Banner this week, and I need Glimmer. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He's like, we got to do this mission on Freehold, and I'll show you. So he loads up, and he does the mission on Freehold because you pop the thing and you get extra Glimmer because Salad Bar sold weapons for an exorbitant amount of money at the tower. And I didn't know this, and I'm watching, and I'm like, this is fun? He's like, this is great. I'm like, this is stupid. This game's so stupid. So fast forward to like March, I beat Black Flag because Assassin's Creed Black Flag came with the system, and I saw that Destiny was still installed on my hard drive. So I'm like, well, let me see if it works, because he installed it on his account, and I'm like, it's not going to work because it's going to ask me to pay for it. Yeah. It didn't. It let me in. I created my character, and I was like, all right. And the minute I created my character, he messaged me on Xbox. He's like, dude, you're playing Destiny. Hop in my backpack. Let's go. He carried me through everything. And then I remember doing Vault of Glass, and he's like, I need to explain what to do. And I'm like, just go. I'll go along with the flow. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I'll figure it out. And, Gorgon Maze was fun the first time, and so on and so forth. But what got me hooked was right before House of Wolves came out, you had to go around and find all the captains as the wolves were prowling on Venus, and you killed the wolf, and then you picked up the treasure key, and then you left the instance and came back as fast. It was so cool to come together with all these blueberries, because it didn't tell you where the treasure chest was. You just had areas, like it was over here, maybe
people
it's over there.
Kind of like shooting at it, emoting,
like we found it, and then you do it as fast as you can for like 4 minutes until it despawns. That was fun, and I'm like, this is great. And then it got lonely because they all left and did Prison of Elders, and I was under leveled, and I was like, I got to find people to play with. So you find people to play with on LFG, and one thing led to another. And then I was watching a Professor Broman stream at work, and I heard the sound of Hawkmoon, and I'm like, the fuck gun is that? And I go in chat, what gun is that? And they're like, that's Hawkmoon, you idiot. And I'm like, I don't know, I play on Xbox. So I went on eBay and bought the vanilla copy of Destiny for like $4 just so I can have Hawkmoon. And I literally did the trick where you create a character, you get up to Prison of Elders, you do your Prison of Elders, you get an exotic drop. If you didn't get Hawkmoon, delete. And start over. It took me seven hunters to get Hawkmoon. And then, so that's how it started. And then one thing leads to another, and you're staying up late for Rise and Iron, and you're figuring out what the hell a tapir is. And, we're doing the tapir air, and, all that stuff. And we get the Destiny 2 and started on PS4, launched on PC. I moved over to PC with my friends and been on PC. I'm on both. Like, I do PS5 and PC, but I'm a PC main. I quickly created my characters on PC so I can just get up and rolling, thinking at some point they'll let us, make over our characters, right? No, because I liked my PS4 characters. I put a lot of love in their looks. I didn't put love in my looks on PC. So luckily, during a charity stream last April, one of my things was I would delete my characters, which I did, but all the stuff was still in my vault, you know? So I deleted them, and then I like logged into D1 to see what those characters looked like so I can recreate them as best I can. And boy, they did change the stuff between D1 and D2. I thought they'd be mirrored. They're similar. They're not the same. But,
some of the textures are a little bit more like...
Yeah, makeup looks different. The hairstyle looks different for some. You know, there's some things for the EXO, like the one now has like the bullet hole like exposed. That wasn't in D1. At least I didn't see it, so I did it for this one. But yeah, no. And then we just play the game way too much. Like I don't know how many hours I have. I think 6,000 hours in D2 between all of the things, and I just play this game way too much. And that's the thing. Like these new games come out, and I'm like, that's cool. I just go right back to Destiny 2. So that's my Destiny in a nutshell. Titan main. I represent the Titans. There's not many of us out there because everybody's a hunter main, and I hate hunters. I do Warlock. I like Warlock. Warlock was what I started on because everybody's like, be a Warlock because you have self-res, and I'm like, okay. But as I got better, or I got used to the game, I just liked Titan better. And then, boy, when Taken King came out and you pop that hammer for the first time, you want to talk about cockroaches scattering? Oh my god! They hear tong, and they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta go! There's a hammer!
Scatter! Get away from them now!"
That was a good time. Like I told my chat, my favorite time of PvP was when that week in between House of Wolves and Rise of Iron, where Necrochasm and Husk of the Pit was the greatest. Like Necrochasm went from being the dumbest weapon in the game to the most OP weapon in PvP. It was so much fun to because nobody used 900 RPM. There were bullet hoses that just they sucked. But that week, oh my god, it was so cool. And people still talk about that played D1. They're like, that week when Necrochasm was king of PvP, that was like, holy crap. So good. But
awesome. So with all of that, so that's how you started.
Yep.
Like, how did you get into, like, you said your buddy took you through Vault of Glass.
Yes.
And you're somebody who like is familiar with mechanics and how they work. So when did you start getting really into raiding?
I really was from the start. Like even on Xbox, it's like just like LFG right now. You go on and there's some LFG teams that you learn a lot from those folks that you run with and go, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Just like just recently when we're doing the Atrax farming, I guess smooth brain me, I'm not paying attention, but I did not know you could take Grand Overture and shoot the replication and charge up your missiles so that if you don't use Parasite, you can just use your missiles to bake the boss. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, damn, that's cool. And that was an LFG group that taught me that.
Rogue's always upset with me. Rogue's always upset with me when we run because I'm like, Parasite. And she's like, but Grand Overture. And I'm like, come on, Parasite, man.
Parasite's the easy one. But like, this is where people are bored of Parasite. Like, let's do Grand Overture. It got buffed. Let's use it. But like, I learned that from, it really was Crota because goddamn, if you did not know how to sword bear, if you didn't know how to sword Crota, you might as well get kicked. If you didn't have Gallarhorn or Black Hammer and you couldn't sword bear, especially if you were an Arcstrider hunter, like you had to crouch for 3 seconds and run up the Crota behind him, and they knocked him down with Gallarhorn and you sorted away. And that was the kind of stuff that intrigued me. Like, why are people being this picky about who's on their raid team? Other than, I get it, you want to get it done and over with so you can move on. But at the same time, it's like, well, I want to learn that, but what is making people do that? And like, let's find alternative ways. So in case we get a group that people just aren't hunters, or they don't want to switch to hunter, or they just want to get this done, there's got to be different ways. So that was like my challenge to myself was, how can we get better, no matter what class you use, to do the job? And at the time, Crota was the hard thing to do. We didn't have Taken King, or we didn't have Wrath of Machines yet. So we were like, okay, let's figure this out. And I just, you get to play with groups, you get to find friends, you get to play with each other, and then it turns into a speed run. Like, let's do this the fastest, and let's see how we can get through. Let's cheese the bridge so we can get over the bridge, and
go high.
Let's go hide.
Yeah.
So if you die, res us, and then, or we'll res. And I think it was a 45-second timer back then.
Yeah.
And then hard mode, you're screwed. It's like, all right, go on the top with Icebreaker. We'll see you in 20 minutes. Because that's what somebody would solo the section, and then you hear the music play as the door opens. Like, and he did it. He shot all the things with Icebreaker. Good job, bud.
Let's go.
So, and then we get to King's Fall, and I fell in love with King's Fall, and I still love it to this day because it's one of the most technical raids that you have to do. Somebody has a job, they have to do their job. If you don't do your job, we fail. And you, as either a Sherpa or someone, has to teach them, well, this is how you do it. This is what not to do. And here are the things to look out for that may make your experience a very troublesome experience or a very easy one. And I didn't mind sharing that. I didn't mind oversharing with folks like, okay, this is what I do. This is what you should do. Or this is how you get out of this jam. These are the weapons I would use. If you don't have them, here are comparable weapons that, you know, they're not what you're looking for, but it'll do. And so and King's Fall was one of those, like, I was the Titan that was in the bubble when we got to Crota, or not Crota, Oryx. Yeah. You know, I would sit in bubble and I had my touch and mouse be like, all right, I took care of the ogres, just do your jumping part. Because for some people, the jumping part was hard. They didn't like that, you know.
No mantle and warlock jumps can be kind of fickle.
I can go back in time, like, trust me, in 2 years there's gonna be mantle. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
You're gonna be okay.
But you have Bones of Ao right now, so just triple jump to your heart's content right now. So like that stuff, which just I loved it. And then we got to, you know, Wrath was my favorite. The article that happened on PC Gamer last week about Siva kind of staying there. I think it's a bait because they told us we wouldn't get Guppy. We're getting Guppy in a couple of weeks. We wouldn't get Gallarhorn. We got Gallarhorn. We might get Siva, but that's me sipping on the copium. But I mean, that was another technical raid. You know, you had to spin to win, and then at the very end of Rise of Iron, someone figured out it was cluster bombs, and we're like, oh crap! And then the trick was when you're in LFG groups, how do you balance the cannons and shooting, you know, and throwing the balls to those things, because you know you had a timeout if you hit one of them wrong, and that's the kind of thing that we like juggling and making sure we figured that out so we can, in case someone dies, let's do this. Two people. We got this kind of thing.
I think I watched a stream where Carolina Gamer juggled all three cannons. During.
Well, that's why I first started watching. The first time I watched Dado was when they went for Outbreak. I never heard of him or Math Class until somebody on our Reddit feed was like, yo, they figured out how to open the cube in Wrath and Machines. And so and then of course that's when you always love it when, like, it happened to Ninja when Ninja cracked the vault in Last Wish. His stream went from like 50 viewers to 50,000 viewers in like 2 minutes. And that's what happened to Dado. Dado he was still big back then, but his exploded, and we're all watching him as they're opening it up. And, you know, it's funny enough because I know all of them now, but at the time I'm watching him and Leopard and Zepic. They're all doing the stuff there. And that's how I got to watch him was through that. But he soloed Atrax, and that was one of the first times I've ever seen someone solo. Now I know other people have done it way before him, and he learned it from other people. But that was the first time I saw that, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know you could solo a boss. And then and then I went back in time to do Crota, because that was easier then. But like, I know people that did Crota like when it first came out. I'm like, good. I couldn't. Now it's easy because I'm over leveled, and I still, you know, I need to do this just for myself. But that's how I started doing the solo stuff. Was you get over leveled, you know, you used to do Prison of Elders level 35. You could solo that because you were way over leveled, but it's still an experience.
I got blocking with the sword.
Prison of Elders, or no, Prison of Elders when it was the Cabal room and it was Arcbird and those goddamn scions went. And you're dead. And I'm like, oh shit. But like, it's easy, but it's still the practice of doing it and still being by yourself. Even though you know it's easy, you're still learning the rhythm on how to do this. So that if you wanted to really fine tooth comb it and be a lot faster, or actually do it on a harder mode, you still need to have that foundation. So it's never a bad thing. Like people say, oh, that was easy. It's like, well, then, you know, okay, build from that foundation then and make it harder for yourself. Like me, I'm a dad. I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to get it done. Sure. I'll cakewalk on these people with my, you know, you sit there with the Outbreak and it's small arms. So you're with that big servitor, but you know, but that's the thing. And then like it carried over to D2 with Leviathan. I'm a huge Spire Stars fan. I'm like one of 5 people. Me and Devious Entity are the only 2 people I think that love Spire Stars. You know, you juggle the ball as a warlock with the Nova, pick it up, and that's the raid that got me into Math Class too. Like there was that raid that I was just lucky I had RNG that blessed me with my drops. I was actually high enough power, because that was the problem back then, was people just didn't have the power when day one came out for Spire Stars, it was just RNG really screwed you over, and I got lucky, and I got carried. Like those guys, most of them are part of Team Brenda right now with Dado, and it was Mork and I have Toes and Sith. Like those are the cream of the crop, and I just happened to be the guy. Like, yeah, I'm at level. Yeah, I promise I won't die, and then we got it done. So, but that's how I met them through there, and then it just grew from there, and I lucked myself into the clan. Like people were bad mouthing LFG the other day. I'm like, if it wasn't for LFG, I would not have been in math class, and that's why I keep thinking to myself when I do LFGs, I'm like, some people don't know who math class are, and some do, and they Google and they go, oh my God, Dado. And I'm like, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know him. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's, you just get through that and you just play the game, and then you just go, okay. And you be smart about how you talk to them. You don't, ever talk down to anybody, and you just play. And, because they're like, some of them get nervous. They're like, they see the name, and I'm like, stop. I'm just a dude. Yeah. I'm just a dude.
I'm a guy that's in a clan with a guy.
Yeah. With a guy.
Yeah. With another guy
who dresses as a girl, and I dress as a girl too. Yeah. So we're both the same. Like it happens.
We both play the game. We're playing the game. You play the game.
You play the game.
We're on level playing fields here.
But it's funny because sometimes we take that for granted that we beat raids. Yeah. Like there are people out there that have never beaten a raid. And it's always, you sit there and sometimes you laugh at that, but then you don't go, these folks never experienced what the true end game of Destiny really is. Like this is what got me into the game. The synergy of a team to work together to get through the objective and the loot. Like I came back and played Destiny 1 all the time because I got locked out from Gallarhorn, and you only had like 5 chances to get it. Yeah. Right. I joined way late. So my first thing I got from Xur was Thunderlord, which at the time was the first time it was ever sold. And I'm like, and that's how I know when I started playing, because I'll go back to like, what did Xur sell? I'm like, week 12. That's when I started actually playing the game, because that was the first time Thunderlord got sold. But Gallarhorn only dropped from Nightfall drops at a random PV. Like I got my Gallarhorn from an Iron Banner match. I was the top fragging guy on the losing team. And on the bottom left corner, it said DRM found Gallarhorn. And I got 6 messages on my PlayStation saying, congratulations, I hate you, congratulations. We don't get that anymore. Like I think people talk about that a lot, is like what they miss between D1 and D2 is that I wanted to see what other people got. Because like Clever Dragon was the gun that everybody wanted from D1. And I never got the goddamn gun ever. Like it would drop and I would see everybody but me. And I'm like, why? What did I do wrong? Like I would top frag and the other 5 people underneath. Clever Dragon. I'm like, come on. And then you roll over their Clever Dragon and see what roll they got. I'm like, he got hidden hand. He got hidden hand. So I missed that part. But like that's why I played. And now, we kind of take it for granted because like you just did a charity where you deleted your entire vault, right? Yeah. Yeah. And now you're not as nervous about it because you can craft all the guns that you could use.
Yes, but also
you have to level them up too.
You have to level them up. That you also have like, there were some things in there like Red. How I met Red the Guardian was from that, I believe, the Rain charity event that we did last year. We both did different blocks on that. Yeah. And Red, I had on there that I had already lost my entire vault, and I had to do like, I think like 2 seasons of Titan or something like that. And I doubled.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I doubled down on the Rain thing, and I was like, if we hit this amount, I'll just do a year of Titan. And you guys, like, I had an incentive for deleting specific weapons. And Red deleted my threaded needle then and there. I couldn't get it back.
Oh yeah, because that was totally gone.
Because it was gone.
There's certain guns I would miss. Like I'm a big main ingredient guy. Like, I used to do shotguns in PvP. Now I'm a fusion rifle main, and that's Xur ingredient. Even though they keep nerfing it, like we'll talk about that too with the numbers, and they scare people. Like they keep putting in there. They nerf main ingredient. They did. Chat. It's still really fucking good. Like if some Titan's coming out with parodying Greaves and with a shotgun out, I have to sit there and go dead. Like they die instantly. And I had a Snorri, which is the same type. It's 740 charge time. It always left them at 1 HP. But with main ingredient, because it has tap the trigger and it's got under pressure, they're dead. They're dead. And I'll kill somebody and I'll sit there and go, I shouldn't have got that kill. They're mad. They're mad. Like there's no way I should have got that kill. And I did, because main ingredient is just so good.
It's Chris Proctor. He's just like, We gotta keep messing with.
We
with
nerfed his shotgun. We took away opening shot from his Astral Horizon. Like Astral Horizon was my baby, and then they took the perks away.
It would just be so funny if it's like just one weapon where it's like, and we nerfed main ingredient. Moving on, like just like every single time you read in a hotfix or like a patch note,
it's the Telesto of PvP. Like they keep nerfing it, and it gets better. Like it's like, wait a minute, it's still good. No, it's actually better now. What do you mean? They're supposed to nerf it. They didn't. So, but yeah. So, like, we have, spawning from this conversation, we have a few things that we can go from. So, like, we have LFG is coming. I talk a lot, and then it turns into much, and then I'll forget. Like, what were we talking about again? I do that a lot.
Yeah. So many people are like, you just let me talk, and it's like, dude, this is kind of like what my job is. Like, if you're not talking, I'm not doing my job.
True. Then I'll talk too much and I'll talk over you, and then you'll be like, God, I hate this guy. He's never coming back.
But like, so with that, we have we're going to have in-game LFG.
Yes,
being brought in next season.
I'm scared for that.
It's something it's something that people have wanted for a long time, and it's something that I'm grateful that's coming into the game, because that was my experience too. I was the LFG baby. Yeah. I would hop into games. There's one particular Crota's End that I hopped into where I didn't speak Spanish, but everybody else did, and then they just laughed at me because I'm like, hey, hi.
My first ever clear in Kingsfall, and I have the video of it, and I'm listening to. I didn't even understand what they're saying. We got to Oryx, and then the team I was on faltered. So then you just go, I have Oryx checkpoint, and then somebody just grabbed me in. And I was using Treads Upon Stars, chat. Can you tell me what a Treads Upon Stars is? It's a vision of confluence, but it was red, and that's what I used. And these guys were just like 3. I'm like, what does that mean? And it's like, that's because I was the third platform, because we rotated with the orb, not static platforms, which was always a debate. Do you do static or do you rotate? And so, it was the same thing where like these guys, I totally probably didn't understand a word I was saying. I didn't understand what word he was saying, but we got it done. I got my clear. I have my little banner that said he was down, and I got a Smite of Moraine. That was a 310 chat. Back then, you could complete the raid, and it was RNG on what you got between 300 and 310. It wasn't like, oh, I leveled up and I'm 308, so I should get a 309 drop. No, you could be 309 and you got a 303 Smite of Moraine. Welcome to Destiny. Forever 29. I never lived through that, but I understand the pain, because I was forever 309 because this SRL gave you guaranteed 310 class item, and then idiot me deleted it because I was like, you get loot. It's always my favorite thing to watch streamers do. Like, you get loot, you delete it and go, fuck, that was my pinnacle. Damn it.
Yeah, no.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And then back then, that was it. Yeah. Class item, that was the only place you got class item, was SRL. And then you were screwed. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never getting another class. And I never did. I never did. Or the other one was, chat, there was exotic class items depending on your faction. So I had I was a new monarchy main on a Titan, and I had the new monarchy class item. And I infused it thinking, oh, it's a 307 and I have a 310. So I'm going to infuse that into my class item to go up to 310. What did it do? It went to 309. Yeah. Because back then, there was math involved.
Yeah, it was grading on a curve.
And I hated that. Oh. Why? And then they took that away, because then it was like, oh, we saw that people don't like that, so now it's 1-to-1. I hated that. This sucked. So those were the days.
So with LFG.
But no, with LFG, I'm scared about it.
Yeah, why?
Because this is the other side of the coin with LFG. And I've experienced this in just recently with Tanics. The week before, it was farmable. Last week it was the rotator, so you did the 4-bomb strat because you got you 2 chests. Well, the week before that, it just got you. I just wanted to get to the chest so I can buy my last commemoration so I can craft it. And I just found a group, and you go on automatic pilot. You go in, you do it, and you just know that's 4-bomb strat. Well, nobody said anything, and we only shot 2 bombs down. I grab my bomb, start running, and I go to deposit at the spawn, and I die. I'm like, why did I die? And here we did 2-bomb strat. I'm like, why are we doing 2-bomb strat? Why? Nobody said anything. And then they were like getting mad at everybody going, you got the people that wanted 4-bomb strat kind of yelling at the 2-bomb strats. And then but because of that experience, because of the lack of communication, which we all assumed, which shouldn't have assumed, but I guess, we've done the game so long, we thought that's what it was. That kind of experience could then go like against you on this LFG scoring system. And, because everything's based on your ranking and how well you communicate and this and the other thing. And all of a sudden you could have one person who just had a bad day or a bad experience on this one instance, and they just shoot your score straight down. And those are the kind of things I'm afraid, or somebody had a toxic experience or something like that, and just decide to ruin everybody's lobby based on whatever the case may be. And those are the kind of things that, now obviously those are probably like rare instances that could happen, but that's the kind of thing I'm afraid of, that people may catch on, or they find ways to cheese it, and then it ruins the experience because, we found a way to cheese it, just give me a 10 or I'll kick you or something like that. Like, those are the kind of things I wish don't happen. But to counter that, I just started playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
I'm a tank warrior, and the first thing I was told to do is when you start a dungeon, say immediately in the chat, "I'm new, please help," or like, because my job is to pull so I can get all the ads. And at first I didn't know that. So the guy was like, you need to run ahead and grab all that ads and we'll follow you. And I'm like, they're like, lead the way. And then at the end, I got a commendation because I did a good job. And that felt good. I was like, ooh, I'm a new person. I got a new commendation and it's on my record. This is great. So that happened. I was like, oh, then now I'm not that afraid of the Destiny system, because if you're just doing a random strike, like if I do a random strike, I try to do it as fast as I can. And I've heard feedback from other people to say, I hate when I do strikes with blueberries because by the time I get to this part, I'm already joining allies at the end. And then, that kind of stuff. So I think it just depends on where the ranking system, where the LFG system comes in. If it's just strikes, or if it's the mission, or if it's PvP, nightfalls, raids, gambit, stuff like that. I guess it just depends on the situation, how we're going to get raided and how that impacts us. And because you're going to have people that are going to farm it. If there's achievements on it or triumphs, I'm going to farm it because I'm a triumph hunter. But those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about going into, is like, what do I have to do? Kind of like what guided games. When we had to do guided games, there were emblems tied to it, and you had to do like 50 of them. So doing that was kind of stressful because you get the sixth person in there. Are they on Discord? Oh, you have to do game chat. Oh crap! How do you do game chat and push to talk and things like that? So I think those are the things that go on in my head that just spins and spins and spins. But it's great to have it, because it's really weird to tell someone who's brand new to the game, join this Discord or go to this website, and they'll go, why is it not in game? And it's like, it's hard to explain, and that makes it weird, because then it's like, why am I playing this game then if there's not an in system other than, like Bungie has their system. Like DMG's just tweeted that he did his Grandmasters all through that system, the Fire Team system. Yeah. But not everybody knows about it. And it's not in the game. Technically, you have to go to a source outside the game to do that. So, unless you're on Xbox. Xbox has their own system. Yeah. Which, we don't on PlayStation or PC.
Well, and for me, it's like, I am lucky enough that like we've cultivated a community that like tries to help other people. And so I very rarely have to venture outside of that to get something done. Yeah. So I'm out of touch with the LFG side. I remember guided games, and I had some really good experiences with guided games initially when they first came out. But I'll never forget, there was we were running one, and the person that we were picking up was also streaming on Twitch. Oh, okay. And they that's what they did, was they joined guided games. Okay. And would streamed it. Okay. Primarily because we found out at the end that they were a giant turd. And they were just kind of crappy with the team, in particular, my buddy T Monster. And it was not a good experience. And I don't think our clan ever did anything like that again. After we hit that.
It's the risk you take. That used to be my Wednesday content, when I would do random D1 raids on Wednesday when D2 was out. And I have my setup set up in a way that if I join party chat, you're you're still coming through audio. Like there's settings on Party Chat that if you were in a party and you were streaming through the PlayStation, that audio wasn't coming through, but mine was, because I had it hardlined into my capture card. So I joined one and the guy was being toxic and I was like, oh boy. And he's like, are you streamer? Oh, it doesn't matter. My shit's not coming through.
It's like,
and literally the next message, someone was like, yeah, it is. And so that's the stuff that I was like very hesitant then after that, because I'm like, they could say whatever and then it's on me because I'm the streamer and I let that content go. So I'm like, delete the VOD. And I don't want to do that. So then I stopped doing it. And that's the problem with like me streaming and doing LFG, is that you don't know who you got. And they could be a basket case, or they could be like the many friends I've met on LFG that I feel like there are so many great players that are out there. I mean, hell, Eater World was beaten by an LFG raid team. You know, like that's they're out there, and that's the thing. Like you find those folks, and you're like, man, you need to be in a clan. Like you need to be in the same group of people. But I'm like you. I've joined Discords that they ask to do this, they ask to do that. And like for me, like I just joined yours and I joined Lighthouse GG, and those are you all been around a while, and I've just been in my little pocket with my folks, and it's like, man, I haven't even seen what's out there. Like GCX opened that for me. Like a lot of people who play Destiny. I'm used to seeing my friend list who I have to keep pruning because I'll be like, oh, I want to be friends with you. Oh wait, my Bungie friend list is full. We just got through this with Steam, and then we figured out how to make our Steam list so big, and now, it's just so stupid. But yeah, no. So like back to the LFG thing, like I'm on the fence. Like my initial take is I'm nervous about it, but it also could be the greatest thing out there, especially in finding, especially I want to do Dares of Eternity. I want to do a Legend Dares, and I don't care about comms. I just want to get in a group. Get me in there. I just want to get my 250K so I can get my weapon and get out. And if that can do that for me, I'm all about it, because I can just get in, get my dares done, and get the hell out. And if I want to talk to them, that's what text chat is for. Or hit right on the D-pad on the PlayStation and use the virtual keyboard. You know, that works. That works.
Mm-hmm. Man, does PlayStation have keyboard support yet?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
We have a couple people in math class that are strictly PlayStation, and it's weird because I'm here on my desk and my PlayStation's in my living room, and when someone starts chatting, and sometimes you have to hit the touchpad to get the thing to pop up so you can hit right for the virtual keyboard to show up. And sometimes it just doesn't do it. It won't let me do it. So I feel bad because people will DM me. I get the pink text going, DRM, we're doing this. You want to join in? And I have to go around Discord and be like, sorry, I'm on PlayStation. Yeah, I'll be right there. It sucks, but I'm just too lazy to hook up a wireless keyboard, only because there's only 3 USB ports on that damn thing, and they're all taken up between a hard drive and then my charger, my controller chargers, and then my I have Corsair's headphones plugged in so that it's not coming off the TV when I play Call of Duty. So my USB ports are full. So it's like I don't have enough room to put a keyboard in there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have day one raid experience. You have this
a lot.
We've talked about this.
My claim to fame is Crown of Sorrow. World 12th. That was an experience. Crown of Sorrow itself was an experience because you only had 3 hours to prep, and then you dove right in. And our team finished 12th, and half that team is with Dado. The other half don't even play Destiny anymore. So that just tells you we just broke off and left. But day one's every iteration I've done a day one, and either been successful like Crown of Sorrow and not successful like Garden of Salvation. I did not finish 24-hour, and I hate that raid, and it's mostly because we were stuck at that boss for we got to boss early. I have all these monitors. We're watching Glad and Dado and T-Rex and them, and I see we're keeping up with them. We're there. And then we got the boss, and it was just a huge DPS check, and the mechanics were buggy, and boy, I hate Gambit, but that's one. But a day one experience, absolutely. I'm been there, and we're still doing it too.
The thing that made me turn the corner on Garden of Salvation on that boss was the no build strat.
Oh yeah.
Where you just refuse to build anything.
Yeah. Just get on the pillar. Let it go. Who cares?
Let it go. It's going away anyway. We're
Just snipe those Cyclopses, please. Please, I don't want to get sniped. And then you hear when it's like, right.
Yes.
I think the other thing too is that raid has really crappy loot. There's no raid exotic to chase because it's divinity, it's a puzzle, and I'd say other than the bow,
the bow is really good.
The bow is good, but everything else is
the
shotgun's coming back because I think the shotgun is. Oh yeah, because it's very
rifle's
quick.
Really good. Yeah. I enjoy Reckless Oracle from that.
I mean,
yeah.
To me, there's other auto rifle. Gnawing Hunger is so much better than Reckless Oracle, in my opinion.
As somebody who doesn't have a Gnawing Hunger anymore because I've deleted my vault so many times. Reckless Oracle is painful. My baby. It's never leaving my side. I will hide it.
It's gonna be on your character next time you have to do it again.
Exactly. Guys. Yeah. Oops.
But I think that's what does it for me. Is like Garden doesn't have good loot to me, and sure the mechanics are great, and the environment is beautiful. You want to talk about a beautiful landscape? When you're going in between the carousel, going up from the boss that we faced in Spire of the Watcher, going up to the end, like that whole garden area, it's so gorgeous. People take pictures and it's beautiful, but I just don't like that. And that day one experience is what did it. Like we had different strategies. Like at the time we did one at a time, not two at a time, one person per side, not two people in, and then the day one strat was to do both sides and get two people in, so that two people were left, dealing with the floor. And we didn't think that through, and we were tired, and we had people leave, and it just wasn't a great experience. But so I've lived both. I've lived trial, the tribulation, the success of like something like Crown of Sorrow, something like Scourge of the Past, where the team I was on got fourth. You want to talk about a funny story? So I replaced Lawaj, his name is. He's a good friend, Lawaj. He did Scourge of the Past, and then he, had a life, moved on, and so he came back to playing Destiny and wanted to do a Scourge of the Past. Did an LFG, and they came in and said, "Hey, bro, your raid report says you only got 3 clears," and they booted him. And it's like, did you not look at the little top corner that said "World's 4th"? Like, are you kidding? It's
That's
funny
an embarrassment
how
of riches right there. Like, why?
People love those raid reports, man. They love them. But so I've had both sides of the spectrum, where Crown of Sorrow, Scourge of the Past, great success, and then you get Garden of Salvation. And for me, Vow, I got injured during Vow, and that I didn't get the 48-hour clear for that. But it was like all day Sunday, I was just in so much pain that I couldn't log in to play. My eyes hurt. And I just was going through so much pain through what I was going through. And I'm like, well, I can't. And I felt dirty too. Like, I'm going to get it. And I don't even wear the emblem anyway. Like I wear my Crown of Sorrow emblem, or the trans ally emblem on my Hunter, or on Titan, there's a PC demo that came out like when PC came out, and that emblem's like super rare. So I wear that, or the movie of the week one. So it's like, I'm not playing for an emblem. I'm just playing for the loot at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But anyway, sorry. See, so, I get rambling and we get going.
Okay, that's fine. This is great. You don't need to apologize. You need to stop apologizing.
It's what I do. I apologize. I'm sorry.
So for new people who are coming in, because right about now is the time that you're forming teams, you're getting prepared.
Can't wait to see these announcements on Twitter.
Yeah. We're about to have a flood of announcements, and then the meme announcements for announcements.
Yeah.
We're about to see all of that. That's all going to be on display. Probably next week, we'll probably start seeing those pop
real quick. I'm surprised we haven't seen them now.
Yeah. So for anybody who is going in brand spanking new, this next raid experience this next World's First experience will be their very first World's First. What are maybe like 3 or 4 things that you can say, hey, you need to do this before attempting?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is to have goals set up front. So, for example, Spire Stars, one of my favorite raids, the group I ran with, we knew from the start we were not finishing it. We knew that as the raid progressed, the light went up, the power went up, and that by the time we got to the boss, the Valkolor, we were not going to be powered enough. At least half the team wasn't going to be powered enough. And we decided at the moment, we're done. And some folks don't like that. Some folks want to finish it. They want to get through the end. And other people are like, yeah, that's good. Cool. We got this far. Great job, team. But I think that's the big thing. You got to have your expectations set up front first. You make sure when you form your team, you talk about what is the end goal? Do we want to beat the raid? Do we want to get to a certain spot? Are we going to be taking breaks because it's 24 hours? And who knows? It might be like Deepstone Crypt where you go in and you get to 8 tracks, and that was a huge DPS check. And then all of a sudden somebody beats the raid and Lament comes out and everybody gets Lament, and then 8 tracks is a joke. And that's what you have to establish, because if teams disintegrated before Lament came out, then they wouldn't have come back to say, oh crap, we can get Lament, let's go in there and then we can beat the raid now because we got through where we were having trouble. And the second one is, when you're in trouble, think outside the box. A lot of players like my vault is in shambles. I'm waiting for Dado to message me to say, let me do your vault. Because he's going to have a field day. I'm 599 of 600, and there's nothing I want to throw away. Because, look, we got the thing today about grenade launchers.
Yeah.
My grenade launchers, they're back, baby. They sat there for 2 years collecting dust. They're back. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of tools out there. And even, like, we just talked about with your crafted weapons, there are weapons out there right now that are craftable that are going to be the meta. Like the Judgment of Kolgarath, this glaive with close to melee is a sleeper. Nobody's going to use glaives, but that with Synthoceps is ungodly powerful, and they're not going to touch that because glaives. There's other weapons, other exotics. Galahorn is always going to be Galahorn is always going to be top of the list, and they hand it to you in the 30th anniversary if you own that. And if you're on Epic Game Store, you probably should own that because it was free for a while. But like the thing is, there's weapons that you can use. Like, it's hard to look at YouTube and listen to Aztecross and Saltagrepo and those, because they played the game so much that they have God Roll Read Regret, and they've crafted their Cataclysm, and they have everything. They have Izanagi's Burden, and they have the Catalyst for Wither Horde. That's hard for players that are just coming in to see that, because they're like, well, I don't have that, or oh, I have it, but I don't have the Catalyst, and people are saying I need to have the Catalyst. So build your toolbox, but set the expectation with your team, because it's probably likely that you'll hit a DPS check, and DPS checks are frustrating because you have to be perfect with how you do your weapon crafting, how you do your elemental mods, your wells, your artifact mods, all that stuff all counts to make sure that all 6 of you beat the boss. And I think that's the big thing. So like, have the expectation set your goals, and make sure those goals are there. And in the end, like, have fun. If you're not having fun playing this game, then why are you playing the game? Like, that's and that ties into part 1 with your goal. But what was your goal coming into this? Like, for you, not for the team. Like, establish the goal for your team, but establish it for yourself too. Like, do you want to beat the raid? Do you want loot, or do you just want to experience what a raid experience is? Because like we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of players who have not had a true 6-player experience, whether it is with your friends, which sometimes raiding with your friends may not be the best idea because y'all fight a little too hard with each other and start calling each other names. Leviathan.
That wasn't great. I love those guys. Wasn't great.
Yeah, no, you learn a lot about like the team that I was with the last couple times. I wouldn't say I mean I get along with everybody, but I'm not sitting there in Discord chat with them on a day-to-day basis. But when we get push come to shove and it's day 1 raid time, we are amazing. We don't fight with each other. If we do fight with each other, it rolls right off our back immediately, and we go back to it and chuckle about it. Like I had that with Marilyn. Marilyn is one of my teammates, and I snapped at him a little bit during the War Priest because we were so used to the D1 way of like the crystal will show up once you stand on the plate, and it's not the case. You have to stand in the middle, then get off. And we didn't know that, but I thought I saw something. I'm like, dude, you're blind. Let me get over there. And I was like, shit, I was a little snappy on that. My bad. And for a while I carried that. And then after when we had a chance to calm down, I'm like, bro, I'm sorry I snapped at you. Like, and it's like, it's fine because we're in the moment, and as that expectation was set, it was like, we're going to snap. We might be a little crabby, but don't take it personal. And we didn't. And that was the thing at the end of the raid when Leopard was streaming it and there was everybody watching and we were almost at the end. They were all like, they're not mad at each other. Like, I haven't heard a single person yell. It's like, because there's nothing, we're not, it's not somebody's fault. And if it is, Memory of a goldfish is what I always say. Have the memory of a goldfish and move on. If you made a mistake, like I had to console my friend who he popped his well down. And when he popped his well down, his well sword killed one of the knights, and he already killed a knight, and that killed the challenge. Mm-hmm. And he was so down on himself. Like, bro, who knew that a well sword could kill a yellow bar knight at contest? Nobody knew that was going to happen. It's totally not your fault. Move on. It's fine. Yeah. You know, like those are the things you have to have when you're a raid team, as experienced as we are, or brand new. Just have those expectations and just be flexible is another one too. Like there are obviously different roles that you need to take in the raid, and you know those are, especially on a day one raid, we're figuring those out. Like we had no idea what to do in the vault with like, oh, what's operator, what is scanner, what does that do, and you know, and you're figuring out all the things. I mean, and sometimes someone just can't figure it out, or they don't do it, and it's like, I don't have the skill for it. Just be honest. Like, I can't do this. I think it's a lot better to be honest about what you can and can't do on a raid team than faking it and then not making it, because then you're just wasting people's time. Somebody else could be better at that. And yet it's not a matter of like, oh, you're bad at the game. It's just, you know, like I'm not a good sniper. I'm on controller. I suck at that. So if I have to snipe, if my job is to kill an enemy, I'm not going to take that role. I'm the guy who wants to do the mechanic, not kill the things. So I'm very upfront. Like, is there a mechanic driven thing? I want that job. If it's a killing thing, somebody want that? You know, like that's what you do. So I think that's the big thing with teams going in day one is establish those goals, be honest with your teammates, and just have fun.
Do you think with Arc 3.0, because like, or with all of the 3.0s out now, and some time to rest, we have different specificities that people can hone into, whether you want to be a healer or a tank, other things like that. We're going to also have like some more sandbox changes coming with Lightfall. What roles, based on the information that we have now, do you think will be important in day ones for teams?
Well, any healing is huge. Like that was a big thing with like, so for example, in King's Fall with Leopard was a hunter and used healing grenades as a solar hunter, and used it in such a way that he always had nades up based on the kills he got with the weapons he used, and the elemental wells that he was collecting was then recharging his grenade. So it was really nice during War Priest as they got aggressive, because we needed to have Aeon. So quick swap to Aeons and then quick swap to the next exotic to use so that we can get our heavy. But healing grenades, I think, are very slept upon with, I'll say a majority, like the folks that are top 1% know, and you see that when they're either playing PvP, like when you play Trials and you see a dude who's running around as a Dawnblade, and all of a sudden as they get into an engagement, they win because they're much better with Rose. And then all of a sudden they throw a healing grenade down and they walk away. I'm like, well, he's healed. Oh, he's ready for the next engagement, and I'm dead. You know, kind of stuff like that. In raids, that's huge. And especially they nerfed damage resistance, but they really didn't. I mean, think about it. It's 30%.
It's going to be 30%.
It's still going to be huge. Like that's still a big deal. But you know, having the wall up for Titans, you know, that overshield is huge, and healing grenades are huge. Any kind of stuff that, like, you pick up an orb of light and your healing starts immediately and keeps restoring, like restoration. That's why I'm a Lorelei guy, because again, I'm a dad. I want the easy life, so I'm gonna put Lorelei on unless people are like, "Yo, we gotta do Thunder Crash. Put on your Curious." I'm like, okay. But otherwise, I'm wearing Lorelei because, you know, shield breaks and my restoration's going up. And even though they nerfed it, they didn't really nerf it. Yeah. And you're still not dying. And so those are the kind of things that are huge for the day ones. And if you're build crafting around that, is you got to build craft around healing. Because unless you're using Starfire Protocol as a Warlock, your grenades really aren't doing much, especially a contest. Like, sure, it might do some crowd control, it might weaken them a little bit, but remember, we're a contest, and you got to shoot them a lot. Abilities don't really take them down that often, unless you have those fusion grenades, because those things are hella powerful. So, yeah, so I would spec for healing nades, and that, like, and with the other classes, there's definitely healing abilities based on like getting kill. Like Devour is huge, especially. I mean, collective obligation is going to be a beast of a weapon, and people are going to sleep on that. I think they're still sleeping on it. That thing, when you get that going, you're invincible and invisible and suppressing things, and you don't reload because when you shoot them and kill them, you got your bullets back. Like, it's so good. So yeah.
That was something. Watch this transition. That was something that like Tuesday we saw. Like, we have deterministic chaos.
Yes,
that's coming. That looks like a very interesting ad clear machine. Like,
you got your 4th weakening shot, your 16th volatile shot. It looks great. I feel like we're in an oversaturated pool of heavies, especially after the article today. I don't know if it's going to get used. But I mean, like, I think in practicalness of that kind of ad clearing machine, that thing will definitely shred and do that. I just don't know, like, we have a lot of exotics and some of them are so good, but when was the last time I used Bastion? And Bastion's unstoppable, and Bastion is a great fusion rifle, and that was great in PvP, but it's still 1350 in my vault, like, I
think I ran with my friend Frizz for Shadowkeep, or not Shadowkeep, the GM last week. Oh my God.
Oh, that was Scarlet
Keep.
Scarlet Keep. It's close. Shadow Keep, Scarlet Keep.
It was
SK,
close.
you got it.
Losing my mind. Bit by bit.
All the time. Yes.
So we were playing Shadow Keep. So we're playing Scarlet Keep. And he was like, I got Bastion. I was like, man, I haven't heard that in a while. And so, like...
Well, so what keeps me fresh, because you get stuck with the same loadout. We joke about, Mountaintop Recluse Anarchy, or Izanagi SMG rocket launcher, or in this last season's Wither Horde Iclos SMG linear fusion, right? That's been the loadout. And so when I'm playing on stream, I hit the random din button if I have to do, like we've been doing Lost Sectors, because it's bounty time. So you do the Lost Sector, you do the Ascendant Challenges, you do all the other stuff. And so it's like, I'm just bored. Let me hit the random din button. It threw out Polaris Lance. And I'm like, I haven't used this thing in like a year. And oh my God, is this thing good? Like,
it's amazing.
The aim assist, it pops heads. Like, what's a head? It's fucking gone. You just got exploded.
It's not on the shoulders, that's for sure.
And then you get the perfect 5th perk going, and I'm like, oh my God, this gun is so good. It's just that the zoom on it is so long, and it's like, it's a scout rifle, but that's why and it's overshadowed by what? Lemonarch, and every other thing that's in the special slot. So it's like, God, I haven't used that in forever. And like the other one is Huckleberry. I love Huckleberry. Like, if I need SMG kills in PvP, just whip out the Huckleberry and you're gonna melt people. But I don't use Huckleberry because I use main ingredient, and then Well, that's and I've been using Outbreak. Like, people are using No Time to Explain. I've been using Outbreak. Oh my God, Outbreak has been so good. It got to the point where I did trials this past weekend with my friends, and we got Flawless, which is a lot for me because I haven't gone Flawless in like a year. And I was using Outbreak, and you could see that we always check their loadouts as we're loading in, and they're using like DMT and what have you, because I'm playing on PC. And like by round 3, they have swapped off DMT to go to Outbreak because of me shredding them. And I'm like, and they're like, oh snap, look what you did, DRM. You made them switch to Outbreak. I was like, woo! I'm causing the meta. But I mean, like, but those are things like, there's exotic, like there's a friend of mine who's memeing with Sweet Business, and they're like, man, Sweet Business is so good. It reloads automatically. Like, what if they added tunnel lock to Sweet Business? Like, are you kidding me? They won't. I mean, they should. But like, imagine
Catalyst
if they
time,
put
baby.
The second catalyst. Give it 2 catalysts.
13.
But like,
Give it 13.
So I'm afraid with this exotic, that machine gun, the devious, the whatever, deceptive, the deceptive cadence.
Chaos.
There you go. Deceptive cadence, a music thing. Sorry. Those are my favorite songs, but I would go to that 6. I just hope they don't get it. Like the sidearm that looks like Cryosthesia. It's the one that has the honing. I just hope it's not like Devil's Ruin, where it just gets overshadowed and it's like, well, there it goes sitting in my vault. Like,
it's good for a week.
I want exotics so that's how I looked at that video the other day. Was, are these practical? Like, is that helmet that the hunter is wearing is that going to really take stompies off the other character? Are they really going to have this flinch resist helmet? Like, that's the PvP question.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening, but who knows? Maybe yes, because, you know, sniping is still a thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Titan wall is like, cool, we have another Kepri's horn, but is this one going to be better because it's strand and it goes in 3 waves like a dead messenger? Or is it just like, those are things that we have to see once we get them. We can only do so much with their, I mean, Bungie knows how to promote the shit out of their game. It's so fucking good. All their videos are so good.
Shout out to the game capture artists out there.
Exploded.
Shout out to the game capture artists.
Oh, they're so good. Every single one of them is like, I'm so like, we were so down on Destiny, like before Season of the Haunted, like we're like, we hate this game, this game stinks, blah blah blah. And then the trailer came out for the Season of the Haunted, we're like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this game. We're going on the Leviathan. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, those are some unique weapons, and some of the things they made in the changes today, like Two-Tailed Fox. That's another one.
Let's get in.
Nobody's used that rocket launcher in like 7 years. Now it's gonna have triple whatever the hell it is, like the trifecta. My God.
Yeah, I have it pulled up here, and like,
oh yeah,
I'm I'm looking at our time. I'm like, oh, okay, we gotta start.
Yes, sorry. This will be a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, no.
The 3 people that get to the end, make sure you go on my Twitch page and say Yankee Doodle or something.
There
so I
you
know
go.
you made it.
There you go. Hashtag Yankee Doodle. So we just got this huge season 20 weapon tuning preview. We joked before that like Wednesdays are now becoming the new 12 days, which I'm kind of cool with because I normally record on Wednesdays and write scripts on Thursdays. So now I have a huge chunk of things to write about before I get home on Thursday to write more chunks.
And I think Thursdays turn into, here's a week in summary. You saw the trailer, here's the blog, and now here's movie of the week and all the other crap that we have going on right now.
With other stuff sprinkled in. I think we learned, like last week, we learned a little bit more about, we learned about the downtime last week.
Yep.
And like there were other things sprinkled in that were useful information that
usually gets overshadowed by all this stuff. Like we talk about this stuff and it's like we forgot about the downtime, or why, like just recently they had more characters get deleted and they explain why. I'm sure they'll explain it again tomorrow, what happened with those few people during the patch. But like that gets overshadowed because like, look at this big, huge paragraph from Chris Proctor, you know, like that's, exactly. I think that's how they did it. And it's perfectly working.
I'm digging it.
Yes.
We were talking about communication earlier. This is chef's kiss.
Huge. Yes.
So of the changes that we have in this weapon tuning preview, what were some of the big things that stuck out to you?
So machine guns right now, I think they're better. I think they're slept on. They're not damaged. They're not boss damage DPS kind of things. But I think the problem with machine guns, they're not D1 Quillam's Terminus or Baron's Ambition. There's another one in chat. I mean, I'll just name off all these D1 weapons I used to use all the time. Holy shit.
Yeah, just bring up the wiki page. We can sit here for another hour.
I mean, I got my vault up here. Look at this. Look at this guy right here. I mean, we got Dragon's Breath. I was using that the other day with the oil slicks. But anyway, but machine guns in D1 shredded enemies like crazy. And they did a lot of chunk damage. Like when you were done, you just pulled out your Quillam's Terminus and you just fired until the damage phase was over, and it did good damage. And in D2, that wasn't the thing. But they keep adding buff after buff after buff after buff. And I felt like this season, they were good. They were absolutely, like, I'm a big Commemoration fan. I love that gun from Deepstone Crypt. And I had a Reconstruction Rampage that was so good, and you know, it took the place of my beloved 21% Delirium, and that it did a job. But now with this season, you can craft it, and now I have Reconstruction Killing Tally, and this thing, you want to talk about shredding enemies, and now you're buffing it after I'm getting Killing Tally on times whatever, like holy, and you're buffing the inventory. Like I already have a ton of bullets and now you're giving me more. I just feel like that's something that is going to be huge when it comes to, you know, again, it's not a DPS thing. It's not something Linear Fusions took care of and all that stuff. But if you want to be that person who is killing ads in a raid to set your team ready for your different things that you'll have to do in the raid to enable the boss phase, these guns are gonna do it. These machine guns will be that job. So you can sacrifice, or you can just have Izanagi, because that's gonna be a thing. That's gonna be back again. Yeah. So if you have Izanagi and your machine gun, like it could be fixed odds, because fixed odds is gonna be good because it's got incandescent. And if you have a field prep incandescent fixed odds, or you have, it's gonna be good. They're gonna be great. So I feel like that was huge. That stuck out for me. Grenade launchers stuck out for me because you're telling me I'm getting 20% buff, and then they later tweeted 2 hours later that Anarchy is part of that. Like, hello, Anarchy is still good. I was telling Dan before the recording started that you can do a legendary Operation Seraph mission. You can plug 2 Anarchy bolts on those rigs and just walk away, because they're gonna die. Anarchy is still, especially when you have solo operative on, and and Anarchy's unstoppable too. As long as you have all those going, 2 bolts will kill a brig at Yellow Bar in that boss fight when you have to, face the 3 of them, and you're buffing it 20%. Holy shit! Holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, holy shit!
Well, we also have Wendigo coming up here in at the end of the season.
The end of the season, I already saw EK tweet about this, and I feel like they're going to do it. If they double looted the Nightfall at the end, because it is the last week of the season, is Warden of Nothing and Wendigo, right? You want to talk about LFG's going to be popping off that week. Like, who wants to do GMs? It's Wendigo time. I got to farm my auto-loading Frenzy or Explosive Light or whatever role you want. That week's going to be huge, because there's going to be a ton of people there to want Wendigo, and that's great for the strike people. Like, I mean, EK runs his GMs and Save the Blade. Oh my God. They're going to be popping off on their chats. This is going to be a line.
Yeah.
Carry me. That's going to be huge. The grenade launchers are back. I think people are going to, people are immediately going to go to full court. I think the thing you have to read into the text is that the speed of how it hits, or the distance traveled, doesn't really equate to damage. And so full court, even though that's its perk, I don't think full court is it still. You still have to go to like the frenzies or those kind of, those damaged Vorpal weapons and stuff like that. I think that's where you go. But if you have those rolls still from back, like our Interference 7 or whatever hell that new Monarchy one was that we had, that will be huge. Tarnation is huge. You can craft a good one. Prospector is going to be huge again. Like, I remember when Prospector was the meta, and I'm like, really?
Dude,
Prospector.
Last Wish. Yeah. Just fire into the mouth.
I still remember when Thunderlord melted Riven.
Oh yeah,
when Thunderlord first came out, and a person that I know that worked at Bungie, we played, and he's like, "Everybody get your Thunderlords out." I'm like, "Are you what? No." And he's like, "Trust." He's like, "Trust me." I'm like, "Okay, you work for Bungie, sure." And literally in 4 seconds, we melted Riven. I was like, "Holy shit! Nobody knows about this." Oh my God. I mean, dead instantly. We were already teleported. I was like, this is getting nerfed. It's always the thing when you play with them, and it's like they do something that's like, ooh, this is getting nerfed. What streamer's going to catch this and go, wow, that was fun while it lasted. So yeah, that'll be the 2 things. The machine guns and grenade launchers were the 2 things that struck to me immediately. And then reading into it more, you see what they do with the kinetic changes. And the multipliers for kinetic is huge, and we got confirmation that Strand is kinetic, similar to Stasis. So that makes me think that glaive that we saw, do you think it's kinetic or do you think it's heavy?
That Stasis glaive?
Yeah. I have a slight feeling that's a heavy
It is
glaive.
Huge. It is enormous.
Yes.
It is like, I wouldn't put it past them to put it in the heavy slot. However,
I mean, people are immediately thinking kinetic because it's our, we don't have a kinetic glaive.
Yeah.
Right. But I just saw how big it was, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. This might be a heavy glaive.
It looks immense. It looks like something out of Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like,
my Dragoon's like, where's the fuck is my lance?
Yeah.
It's in Destiny now.
And like, the orbs that it spits out, like, it wouldn't surprise me if it was heavy. Yeah. It really wouldn't. Because we saw that with Leviathan's Breath, right?
Yep.
Like, that's a heavy bow. Maybe this gets the same.
Sammy Cat is having fun right now. She's doing a happy dance.
I saw that, immediately thought of Sammy, and then I was like, maybe I should break mine out, because
I bet they're sad about it now, because her and Antarctic Wildlife, who I did the King's Fall trio flawless with and Hungry Panda. They're right now trying to do trio bows throughout the entire King's Fall, and they're stuck on Golgroth. They almost beat it, but then again, when you're doing trio raids, you have to have everything go perfect, and your communication needs to be stout. And as the later it went on, the brains get tired, and you forget about a couple things people assume and whatever. But they were doing damage with Leviathan's Breath to get the orbs down because other bows just couldn't do it. But it took 2 Leviathan Breath shot up, I think 2 or 3. Now with this new change that's just coming out, it's imagine like one shot, and then, oh my God, they can manipulate that now. I mean, that would make the boss a joke, but it's not coming out till Lightfall. So good luck, guys.
All right. And we were talking about Polaris Lance earlier.
Yes, and that's getting Scorch.
It is. So Polaris Lance always has a burn effect. So it was an obvious change to switch this Scorch. So perfect 5th shots now apply 40 plus 20 Scorch stacks instead of the custom burn.
Yeah,
we're seeing a lot of those changes from this burn to this stack.
Well, so the plus is because of an artifact that they were, like the example, Ember of Ashes gives them that artifact, the +5. So that's where that would come into. So you apply 40, and then if you're wearing the right artifact, you add 20 to that too, that's huge. That's huge because everybody's got the artifact. Probably put on Ember of Ashes if you're doing that stuff. That's absolutely.
So just like a lot of huge changes coming. 1K voices getting a change.
Yes.
Like,
now does that equal? Do we change our frame rate so that we get 10,000 Scorch? Because it gets what do I see? It's 10 plus 5 with the Scorch stacks, but that's huge. That's huge.
It just seems like next season's sandbox has opened wide up, like for obviously for you to play your own way. But also, like, this competition is going to be interesting to watch when it comes to World's First.
And that's beautiful because I think in the past when we got to Val and other things, I mean, it became non-complacent on what the loadouts were because it was the same loadout. You knew you had to, if you were going to compete for the World First, you had to run this specific setup, this specific loadout. And that was boring for some teams because it's like, do we really have to? And now we're seeing options. Salsa Grep was already tweeting stuff out about certain things he had questions about. And there are other things that people are now build crafting already about, now we see this, let's get into this, let's try this. And obviously there's things we can't do until Lightfall comes out because I know friends that already are like chomping at the bit. Where's the 28th? Like, give it to Bungie. I was thinking about this morning. Give it to Bungie that on the shortest month of the year, it's going to feel the longest for us because the game comes out on the last day of the month. So it's going to be like, God damn, this month feels like it's taking forever. Whether we're already February 1st today and it's like, wow, January went through in a heartbeat. So... But they're chomping at the bit, the test to make sure, like, what are the numbers based on this, based on what they're doing, and how is it going to impact what our new loadouts are going to be, or is it like Linear Fusion's got nerfed 15%? That's 15%, but in the grand scheme of things, that still may not be enough, and people still might be going to Cataclysms. They're not going to do Reed's Regret. I'm so mad. That's the one thing I'm so pissed at because during my Flawless. I finally got my Reed's Regret back after cashing in all my legendary shards. I got my triple tap firing line with Vice Stinger, and now Vice Stinger is nerfed that you're only going to get a quarter of your magazine back if you get all your headshots and it procs. That makes me so mad because I finally got my Reeds back, and stasis is huge because you just pick up a shard, you get your damage buff from Fonts of Might, and oh my God, anything stasis is good.
Should have gotten it earlier, man. How dare you? How dare you not get it earlier?
Here's the thing. I had it earlier. They added these goddamn origin traits. It's kind of like my Bite of the Fox. Saladin sold a God rolled opening shot, snapshot, Bite of the Fox. They got rid of it. They sunset it. They brought it back for season of arrivals, and I could not for the life of me get that drop back again. And some guy's like, "Oh, look, I got it on the first try." I'm like, "You can get out of my fire team. Get out. I don't want to see you ever again. Yeah, be gone."
Be gone.
But that's but it's coming back again. Yay!
Yeah,
my Bite of the Fox. But yeah, so I wouldn't be too like the number. It says 50%. Yeah, they nerfed it, but like we talked about earlier, they've said they nerfed main ingredient, and I'm telling you, they have not. They have not. So don't throw them away. Like that, I think a lot of people fall into that trap when they see big articles like this, and they see the numbers and they see the exotics that maybe got nerfed, and they immediately toss them to the side. But don't. They're still good. Like they're just trying to level everything out so that you're not just Arbalest for everything. Like I haven't seen many people use Arbalest for GMs. They're still using them, but Witherhoard is a thing because of all the artifact mods, but like it's nice to know that you don't have to have Arbalest to do these GMs this season. So that's their goal, and they're doing a good job. They're diversifying the weapon pool for people to play with.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
It's been my pleasure.
Really fun conversation. Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm mostly on Twitter. Twitter is like my main platform at Dr_DRM, DOCTOR_DRM. You can find me on Twitch, DoctorDRM without the underscore. I stream Thursdays through Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and Sunday mornings on the East Coast. And you can find me on Discord. Might find me in Leopard or Dado streams since I'm a member of Math Class. I kind of meme around in those chats. So if you see me, say hi. I play the game a lot, and I'm here to help. So if you see me and you need something, just shoot a message my way. I'm happy to help out with folks. It's always fun to see people get their first clears, and for me, it's like my 100th clear. But for those who got their first clear, like that's special to them, and it means a lot to them, even if it's repetitive for us. So always keep that in mind. So if maybe interacting with someone who it's a dream for them to beat Valve the Disciple, and for us, it's like we just got our pinnacle. We didn't get what we wanted. I hate this game,
dude. Okay. Before I stop the recording. So
you've made it this far, Chad. Let's see what.
So Tuesday, my friend Painful Melody was like, "Hey, I've never run a Deep Stone Crypt." We were like, we didn't really have like a plan for the day. It was kind of like, oh, we're gonna play some Iron Banner, and then we're gonna maybe do a Deep Stone Crypt for the frames. And I got armor that entire goddamn time, but it was his first time, and he was doing great throughout all of it. We one banged like most of the encounters, but it was like a couple of them took a couple shots. But he was doing great. He was having a ball. He had his music cranked up for for the lullaby. It was a whole thing. I'm really proud of him. But God damn it, that entire goddamn
It's like I was running with Haterade last week for Tuesday, and my God, there was a person in there who never did 8 tracks ever. They just looked at videos, and Haterade was like, I got you. I'll explain the whole fight to you. And this guy got Heritage and Succession, all 10 of his red borders within like 45 minutes, and Haterade got armor the whole time. Like, it was no meme when he tweeted that about he finally got his drop. It took an hour for him to get drops. And this guy who's never done it before, he's like, oh, I got this Heritage. Is this good? It's like, brother, that's why we're here. You love
and you hate to see it.
It's the same thing. So I have a friend, his name is Adorable Llama.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people to watch. He's got a goddamn golden whatever for Last Wish. You could be your first Last Wish, and he doesn't farm Riven, so you get all those etherical keys. It's your first time through. And it'll be someone who'll come in and like, I've never done Last Wish before. It's like, well, we'll carry you through.
Yeah.
And they'll get to the chest, and he'll look around the room and go, that one. And he'll shoot it, and he'll kill himself, and that person will open the chest, and I'll be goddamn, Dan. Every fucking time they got 1,000 voices, and he'll sit there and go, oh my God. Like, we got so many clips of him calling the shots. And then there were 3 people in the raid. And this is where I was like, this is getting weird. There were 3 people in the raid who've never done Last Wish. All 3 of these motherfuckers got 1,000 voices, and he called every one of them. But that's his thing. Like, he loves carrying people through the first time. And even if he's already done it a million times, he hasn't done it. They have never done it. And it's an experience for them to learn how to fight Riven. And of course they cheese Riven, but he explains while they're cheesing Riven, like, this is how you normally do it. And this, if you want to come back one day, I'll be happy to come back and do legit Riven with you.
Schedule it.
Yeah, exactly. We can't be drunk and do, because one time he wants to do random loadout legit Riven. I'm like, bro, we're going to be here for like 10 hours. Yeah. Like, even for us who are overpowered and stuff, it's still legit Riven. It's still tricky.
That's the whole thing. My name's Danfinity. You can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are else. You can also catch me 3 days a week on Twitch, twitch.tv/Danfinity, where I'm helping Guardians with PvE activity. If If you'd like to support the show, be sure to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Anything you say helps us in the algorithm. And if you'd like to give $3 a month to help keep the lights on, head on over to ko-fi.com/Danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/Danfinity. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.